So I got a very, very, very unpopular opinion from people, and I figured I'd make it a little bit easier to digest. I made it a Facebook post, and I don't think people could quite follow what I was saying. Or they just didn't see it because no one ever sees any of my Facebook posts, which is fine. I actually get more YouTube views than I do Facebook views, and that's extremely fine. And no, I'm not so cynical and self-centered as to post my Facebook on here now. Anyway, if you clicked on this video because of the part where it says staying silent on the internet, that's what we're staying quiet on the internet, making no footprints, making no sounds. I'm going to work on the name, so it may not look like that by the time you clicked on it. I don't know how to introduce myself on this, but I know what it is I want to say. So I'm going to go right into the guts. People think that in order to be anonymous on the internet, you need to use a single profile and don't mention your real name. That's about it. So people are thinking, oh, you got a Google account, but you don't have a Facebook, you don't have a YouTube, you don't have a Gmail. You have like your Yahoo email account, and that's it. So you don't really have a fingerprint on the internet. Okay, you think you can't be tracked on the internet? So you have that one account, you got that one laptop, you got that one data stream streaming through the clouds, and you're good, because people are only looking for one data stream, right? Okay, well, here's the thing, like, I got America all over my clothes today just by an accidental fit check, and I can't help but notice that when I'm trying to stay anonymous on the internet, that sounds like a good way to name the video. When I'm trying to stay anonymous on the internet, what I do actually, like, it makes sense, but I've never heard of anyone doing it. And I do it this way because I'm not hiding from the U.S. government. I got nothing to fear. I'm not a bad person at all. If you've ever been worried about being doxxed as a professional gamer and being swatted, because that kind of shit happens, that was a big thing a number of years ago. It was funny, but it was really sad. And if you've ever been worried, like, what if this guy on the internet gets my IP address? Well, I mean, people can do it. And I have a way that I feel makes it complex. But it's not perfect. There is no way to truly stay anonymous on the internet. And that's sad. That it kind of is sad. But if I had the one single solitary perfect way to stay anonymous on the internet, I probably couldn't tell you in a YouTube video. But what I've got for you is the next best thing. Because I don't know how to stay anonymous on the internet. But if I did, I would still use these tricks and tips as well to help a lot. The first thing is my tactic. What do I call my tactic that I use? I use overwhelm the system. Jaden, you gotta be kidding me. Overwhelm the system? Yeah. Overwhelm the system. That's what I call the technique. Overwhelm the system. Well, because the U.S. government, if they want to put eyes on you, they're going to put eyes on you. If they want to watch you, they're going to watch you. If they have hundreds of thousands of TSA soldiers sitting down at computers and looking at data streams every day, and they've got to do it, it's their job, they're going to eventually find your data stream. Fair enough. That's an odds thing. They do it every day for 30 years, and there's 100,000 of them. One data stream that they look at is going to be yours. As a matter of fact, it's a very good gamble that 5 or 6 different TSA people have looked at your data streams at least per month, just as they scroll through looking and filtering for words and things that they need to find. But you don't really need to know how the TSA works. You don't really need to know what their processes are. You don't really need to know, because this is not a video about how to hide from the U.S. government. This is a video about how to hide from other people, being anonymous on the internet to other people. Because those are the people that you can't trust. I mean, you can totally trust the U.S. government, right? Totally. Anyway, you can't overwhelm the system for the U.S. government, because they are the strongest thing on the planet. And you're not going to have enough resources to overwhelm them. So this tactic could be used in congruency with other things. But all I'm going to tell you in the video is this tactic alone, because this tactic alone is the only one that I can give you. And so I've said the name of it, overwhelm the system. I've explained that you're not going to get away from the U.S. government, but everybody else it pretty much works on. If you have a scammer looking to get your IP address with an email, you don't click on it. But I have tested a couple just to see if my setup works, and could have gotten lucky, but I do believe it works. It's not legal advice, because I said I could have gotten lucky, but I believe that my style works, and I'd like to put it out there for you. If anyone's ever followed a lot of my videos, you'll notice that I actually have quite a number of electronic devices. Quite a number. That's on purpose. Because I do repair broken electronics. I have like 9 small businesses that I've owned in my past. I really only run 3 at the moment, but they're all just sitting there idle. And one of them has been, electronic repair and electronic modifications. So I've ended up with a number of computers and laptops, tablets. I've got Android, I've got Windows. Hey, I'm sorry. I've got Linux. I have 22 different Linux operating systems at the helm. So anytime I start to feel like I need a little extra security, I remind myself I'm overwhelming the system. Now, what is that, and why is it so effective to me? Overwhelming the system is when you give your router as much fucking information as it can possibly get, and as much of that information be false. I have a computer, it thinks it's in China. Another computer thinks it's in Japan. Another computer thinks it's in Germany. One computer thinks it's in Florida. One computer thinks it's in California. One tablet thinks it's in Indiana. One tablet thinks it's in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. One smartphone thinks it's literally in the great old Idaho. Yeah. And what am I doing with all of these things? Just giving false locations. Well, they're all connected to the same router. And they all have virtual private networks on top of it that change their IP address. So, if you track all the way to the router, then you have to track which one of these constantly changing IP addresses and which one of these computers. Oh God, I'm out. Yep, I did it. Yep. Weather's getting rough. So if I want to, let's just say, track somebody, and I pull up the information that I'm being given, and I follow it through the big servers, because, you know, like, the government has servers across the country, and a lot of information goes through them, like a lot, like right at all of it. And then you go through like the ones located in your state and town, mostly state, because there's server rooms here that helps handle the data as well. And all of them are treated like routers. They grab the information and they send it where it needs to go. So just treat them like routers. Instead of thinking about these massive data banks and storage units and routers, security boxes, or any of those things, whatever you're imagining in your head, just think router. So like on a federal level they have routers, then on a state level they have routers, and in your house you have a router. And it's like getting a more precise address. You have the United States, then you have North Carolina, then you have that town in North Carolina that I'm not putting out there right this minute, then you have your street, then you have your house number. And that's kind of how it works. Like the address, the IP address is part of that. You also have your ISP, your Internet Service Provider number. And VPN rotates a number to keep you protected. But your computer always has a code. I forget how many numbers or how many pins it is in the code. But each device has one. It may actually be different depending on whether or not the device is a laptop or a desktop or a computer or a tablet. But let's just say it's an 11-digit code to make this simple. And that code is permanent. You can't wipe it, you can't bleach bit it. From the day that computer was set up, it has that identifiable number in it. And when it's on the internet, if someone good enough finds that device on the internet, they can see that number. Now, why would somebody find your device on the internet? Well, because it's a two-way street. Your electronic devices send out like a flare. When you've connected to the internet, the laptop is like, hey, hey, hey. It's checking for updates, it's checking Microsoft or the Linux place or the Apple place for things that it needs, or the things that it's going to be told that it needs. You ever wondered why it would need things when it was running perfectly fucking fine the day before? Huh. You ever notice the Ford F-150 pickup trucks that are getting like software updates and now they don't run? Yeah, that's my point, really. Not for the whole video, but I don't think upgrades or updates are all that necessary. But we're overwhelming the system right now, so a lot more focus on the who, what, where, why, when, and how. So your router can handle a certain amount of information, and you want to get as close to that amount as possible. Now, the tech geeks and the tech nerds out there are going to be quick to say, you're going to burn up your router. You might. I rent mine, but you might. You might. That's a lot of information. That thing's running at full clock, high RPMs. That thing is giving it all it's got. It might burn up. I rent mine. I'll get another one. I'll get another one for free. Fuck it. And they may say, you know, you're actually using a lot of electricity. Yeah, kinda. But by the time you get finished paying for a VPN and paying for all these little services to make you feel safe and aren't safe, actually coming out to about the same price. Actually, I may even be coming in under, you know, if I have solar panels on the roof. But so I'm giving it lots of information about different locations, which if a normal person is looking through the router and they see a lot of different locations, the first thought is typically going to be, oh, this is a server on the federal level. I need to go down a server. And then they can't find one because there is no other server. They have to turn around and come back. Well, by then the VPNs have changed, the codes, the IP addresses have changed. So it's wasted time, and they got to figure out what's going on here, because that's typically not how things work. You don't typically have 10 devices from all over the world on one router. That's just not something you're going to see. So they've been overwhelmed. They're confused. Am I in a household router, or am I at a federal level? What's going on? So they got to figure it out. They got to come to the conclusion, or choose to ignore. Chances are they're figuring it out. Because smart people don't like to feel stupid. So then they have to spend the time trying to figure out what they did wrong there, because they're confused about that. But let's say they're not, and they powered through. Well, now they have 10 devices with data streams. How do you continue to overwhelm the system? Well, got a Facebook page open that doesn't have a person that even exists, just sitting idle. A YouTube page with an account for a person that doesn't really exist, sitting idle. A Twitter account for a YouTube person that for a person that doesn't really exist, sitting idle. A MySpace page, for a person that doesn't really exist, sitting idle. And of course, they're all up, they're all open, so they're all constantly receiving updates, sending updates. You know, you got Netflix running, you got Spotify running, you got everything muted. But you got these laptops and tablets just pulling full force of everything they fucking can. So you got all this data that has to go through the router all at once, as much as possible. And you have some dude who thinks he's really cool at Call of Duty, thinking, you know, I'm gonna be a dick. I'm gonna figure out who he is and where he is, and I'm gonna fucking swat him. And he goes looking, and he's tracking back from himself. Okay, I'm being contacted by these 7 internet providers. That's where this data is coming from for this game. All right, let's follow this one. It's not that guy. Let's follow this one. It's not that guy. Let's follow this one. It's not that guy. Let's follow. It changed. To be sure, that's not the same one, is it? This person's using a virtual private network because I don't think that's right. Okay. Well, let's start following it quickly. It changed. Damn. Let's try following it again. It changed. Damn. All right. Well, we try a different method. And they don't follow the number. They follow the actual information that's being transferred. They hit the federal server. They hit the state server. They hit your house. Now they're confused. Because at this point, there's so much data going on. And on this level, it's encrypted. Huh. That's a lot of work. How angry with you are they? Do you really think that somebody that's pissed off with you is going to call the cops on you so that they can win a video game? Well, it's been done quite a lot. So, it's possible. It's also possible that somebody just doesn't like you and they want to make you feel insecure by, like, looking into your shit. It's also possible that you may have pictures of your children on a box somewhere and you have it plugged in so that you can see it on your desktop. And you just don't want perverts getting their hands on that shit. So, is it worth it? I think so. Because how much time does anybody really want to put into committing a crime? They're already taking the easy way because they're lazy. So, that's the tactic that I use to keep myself hidden on the internet. As far as I can tell, I've never had a Trojan horse. I've never had a controller or a console or a laptop hijacked. I've never had anyone able to tell me my ISP, my VPN, my actual device numbers. And, it could be that just me isn't worth it. But I think it's more of, in general, it's not worth it. Now, there are other things that can be done to keep you safe on the internet, but this is just one tactic, and it can be used in parallel with other things. But other information that it is important to have, especially for like overwhelming the system, is that you still want to remain anonymous on your internet service provider's bill. You can set up an account using pay-as-you-go cards and pay every month with a card that you load that doesn't have your name on it. And for actual name, you can literally put John Doe or Jane Doe. And therefore, you have a completely anonymous bill for your internet service provider. So when they take the information they found on your router and try to run it through that company's information, they don't find your name on that address. So that's helpful. And then there's the other things that you can do. But my biggest thing is, don't put your phone on your wireless Wi-Fi. Hopefully a lot of that helps. If anyone has any grunts and grobbles about it, most likely it's going to be, my Wi-Fi is running so slow. Yes, your Wi-Fi is running slow. Hackers don't have fast internet. Hackers actually have slow internet. Because that slow works both ways. The other people trying to get in, it takes them longer. So from the second you get the flag that something is going on, you've got more milliseconds to stop it than you would have if you had high-speed internet. And of course, if you have high-speed internet and you bog it down this much, you're giving so much information that they've got to fish through that you noticed long before they did. You've noticed. You have noticed long before they did. What the hell's going on with me today? So, just something you can try if you've had problems with people in the past. Let's just say you play Grand Theft Auto and people like to cause local issues on your game, not the open world, but you. This can be enough to keep them from successfully applying some cheats to you to fuck you. Yeah. This isn't really just game information, but those are the only real parallels that I can give about it. So I figured I'd give those. Because again, I definitely don't know any other ways to stay anonymous on the internet. And I definitely can't tell them to you. But if I did, if I did tell them to you, then everyone would know them. But this is my first line of defense, and I parallel it with, the bill pay and all of that stuff, and with not having my phone tied to my Wi-Fi, because your phone has your number on it, your phone has your name on it, your phone has your location data. So I try not to do that. From there, the rest of it you can pick up across the internet. But try this at some point, see if you feel safer. Everyone wants fast internet nowadays. How important to you is it that you want to stay anonymous on the internet?